So hello everyone. So now we're going to go over the economics of China. Okay, we're going to look at specifically, where, how it's become an economic power. There's no denying that China is an economic power. And again, also too, looking at is China a global superpower? Okay. Now, a lot of people assume that rice is grown throughout China. Okay. Well, clearly you can see it's only grown in southeast China, not so much the rest of the country, okay? So it's only grown here in southeast China, okay? If you go here to the Inner Mongolia, they're actually sheep and goat herders, okay? And out here, there's barely any farming because of the Himalayan mountains, okay? So it's really only in southeast China you see the rice, and of course in Inner Mongolian is where you have a lot of your sheep and goat herding, okay? But China does have a lot of natural resources. Where you can see here, there's a lot of coal here. Oil is off the coastline. That's why there's disputes about who controls the South China Sea. You also do have a lot of railroads in that. Obviously, not so much here in the Tibet. Again, that's because in that part of it's very high in elevation, very hard to get infrastructure in there. But again, you clearly see there are a lot of it there. Okay, so again, oil and coal. So what led to China really becoming an economic superpower? Well, a lot of it can be credited to former President Richard Nixon. Okay, he was the first president to reopen talks with China, reopen trade with China, when he actually went there with Dr. Kissinger. Okay, so really, that's what led to China doing more trade, not only just with the United States, but the world, okay? That's when they started to realize, okay, we can't be, closed off and not doing any trade. So what they decided to do was say, hey, let's go ahead and actually start, trading now with other areas of the world, okay? Now, clearly you can see that, again, the map shows the location of the special economic zones, okay? These were developed in the 80s. What it did is it encouraged, okay, trade in these, it encouraged foreign companies to invest in these areas, okay? So again, you can see right here on this map. It encouraged foreign companies to invest in these areas. It gave them tax breaks for these areas. So it really encouraged them overall just to invest and to also, actually trade within these areas. So encourage a lot of foreign investments. They gave tax breaks, lower tariffs, etc. That's when you start having, okay, using a lot more of, having a lot more foreign companies there, like McDonald's, like Home Depot, Lowe's, even Japanese companies, okay? So that's what it did, okay? It allowed them to really take off. And it also allowed these areas to, gain in population. As people were like, oh, I can work in these factories now. I can make, decent living. Wages have gone up. I mean, a lot of people think, well, it's made in China, so people are being paid like, $5 a day. Not so much anymore, okay? Actually, now at the present, an average worker in China in a factory is making $15, $20 an hour, which is a pretty good wage, as you have to look at the cost of living aspects. In fact, now China is actually, exporting their own companies to countries like Vietnam and even Africa, like not countries there like Nigeria and Kenya, because they're realizing, hey, it's just getting too expensive to pay people here in China. Remember what I talked about? As a country industrializes, wages go up, and then eventually they become, post-industrial like what we have here. Some parts of China already like that, like parts of Shanghai and Beijing. You would think you're in New York City or Los Angeles, okay? That's how developed it is, okay, in portions of China. And again, it doesn't lie. Look at all the income levels here, okay? Look at all the migration here. So that's what led to China growing, okay? At first, yes, it was cheap produced in China, but now there is a lot of high-quality products coming out of there, and also, too, they produce a lot, like pharmaceuticals, Even some automobile companies have things in China. Apple has things in China. So again, okay, it has increased over time. Okay, clearly you can see right here that China exports more than it imports. Okay, when you export more than you import, your country is going to do well economically. And that's why China is able to grow economically, because they export more than they import. And clearly right here you can see that again, there is more machinery and office and telecom equipment here, being produced in China. At first, yes, it was clothing, but again, this is the bulk of it. When you're producing high quality finished products, again, your country is going to grow economically. And that's what happened with China. So, a little bit of a interesting video. I do want you to watch this, okay? Start at minute 35. Make sure you click on the link here. But it is for question number 4, and I'll show it to you right here, okay? Whoops. Okay, I'll show it to you right here, okay? So, the question is, how is the spread of McDonald's an example of globalization, okay? Don't worry so much about, this question right here, but just focus mainly on how is the video on McDonald's in China an example of globalization, okay? I want you to come up with 3 factors, okay? The video demonstrates plenty of examples why McDonald's in China is globalization. But it is, okay? It is definitely an example of globalization. Think about where McDonald's originated from, what the cultural aspects McDonald's has brought, how it's helped China economically, what they have in China in terms of standards, okay? So definitely it is an example of globalization. There's no denying it. I think this is quite interesting too, how this shows globalization. You have Starbucks right here on some traditional Chinese architecture, okay? On top of that, you do have to do a discussion, okay? Again, if you go into your D2L, okay, you of course go under unit number 10, okay? I'll show you right here. Go to discussion, all right? And then, okay, you're going to be asked, is China a superpower, okay? Is China a superpower? The question is it, okay? Don't worry about what's going on right now. Think about overall, okay? I want you to give 1 or 2 perspectives. Yes, you think China is a global superpower, or no, China's not a global superpower yet, but it could be, okay? I want you then to give me 2 factors for your answer. So again, at least, 4 sentences, probably 5 to 6 if you want to make it really clear. And then tell your classmates why you agree or disagree. And again, it needs to be 3 sentences per response for it to be effective, okay? So go ahead and answer that, and also do discussion again. See the video, and then we'll go into the economic tigers. Welcome back, everyone. So we're now going to go into the economic tigers, okay? What a tiger means is a country that is almost fully developed, okay? Now, I want to say, this is an older term used for South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, but at the present, these are actually fairly wealthy areas, okay? Some cases, you can argue they already are post-industrial. That's why I'm not focusing on this as much anymore, because again, this is a pretty old term, okay? But again, I think it's important you guys understand what a tiger means. You could argue, though, some tiger could apply to Vietnam, okay, or Indonesia, but not so much these 4 countries anymore when compared to the past. So I'm going to go over Taiwan and Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong has what's called 1 country, 2 systems, okay? As said before, the United Kingdom acquired some portions of Hong Kong. Then they had a lease for 99 years with China, okay? And then after the Chinese Civil War, a lot of people escaped to Hong Kong in order to escape the horrors, okay? You've had a lot of economic growth there after the Korean War, particularly cheap products, but then they started to become more post-industrial, okay? Now what happened is, in 1997, when the United Kingdom relinquished Hong Kong to China, China said, well, we'll respect Hong Kong's social systems, meaning like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to protest, etc. Their economic system, meaning that, they can make trade deals with other countries, just with Beijing overseeing it. And also, to their political system, meaning they can actually freely elect their leaders for 50 years after 1997. It's 2020, though. Okay? So, again, this has been going on now, okay, for, 23 years. The question is what happens now? And, of course, there were recent protests in Hong Kong, okay? You've probably seen this, okay? What's very interesting is that they were waving our country's flag and even singing our national anthem. You can even see here, some even want to go back under the British system because they're claiming they had more rights under the British system, okay? But again, Hong Kong is definitely one of the superpowers in the world, okay? So I pretty much explained this, okay? Again, that's the year it ends, so we're going to see what happens here, within the next, 27 years, because things can drastically change, okay? So what I want you to do now is, this is going to be an exam question. Why was Hong Kong able to become an economic power in East Asia? Look at look at terms of it being a natural harbor. Look at the tax rates. How easy is it to start a business in Hong Kong, okay? I mean, yes, we live in business-friendly Colorado, but when compared to Hong Kong, we're actually considered to be business-unfriendly, okay? So even here in the West, we're pretty business-friendly in terms of regulations and licensing. Hong Kong would look at us and say, oh, you're not that friendly. So I'm just letting you know from a Hong Kong perspective. Watch both these videos. Just click on a link for this one. Starting around 4:48, 4:45, and then end at 10:58, okay? Same one we use for the three aspects that are holding India back, okay? So go ahead, click on a link, watch these videos, and then I'll go into Taiwan. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So Taiwan, okay, is interesting. China says it's a province, whereas a lot of other people are saying, no, it's an independent country. What's interesting in the United States is that we recognize there's Taiwan's sovereignty, but officially at the State Department, we say, well, we recognize that's a province of Taiwan. It's been a policy going way, way back to the 70s, okay? So you can argue it's one of those things that really hasn't changed, okay? It is post-industrial in Taiwan. They do have basic freedoms in Taiwan, okay? It's no longer authoritative government. It was for a while when Chiang Kai-shek was there, okay? When he had the Han majority move there after the Chinese Civil Wars they lost, okay? However, Taiwan still recognizes itself as being sovereign and independent, okay? I'd say now the tensions with Taiwan are low because of what's happened in Hong Kong, but also too because of the current events happening in China, okay? So we'll just leave it there. So for next video, I'm going to go over Japan, okay, country that I was hoping to visit next year. Let's hope I do, okay? And then we'll look at also, too, South Korea and North Korea, and how the geopolitics in North Korea could probably change, okay? As I say that, every administration or some type of geopolitical change, okay? So we'll stop the video here, and I will see you guys next video.